I'm
Muzzy.
Muzzy. Big
Muzzy.
Muzzy. Probably those Russians that are contained in the basements of the KGB. I wouldn't be surprised, I would say.
All right. Philipp Druzhinin. Awesome to have you,
Yo,
man. How you doing?
yo. Pretty much fine. A little panic here in Moscow, but anyway, still alive and trying to hang on here in Russia. Although
Yeah.
it's springtime already and bears came out, we has not yet got any guns. All the guns are in the hands of a government and the parasites. So Russians don't have guns. We have bare hands. So that's
Well,
what
I'm
we do.
glad that your biggest concern right now are bears. You know what I mean? And bear arms. Because, like big bear, like the oven mitt size ones. And there's a lot of other things going on around the world. But Russia, for the most part, has taken the correct approach of worshiping the mouse from Rescue Rangers. So, in the name of gadgetology, bless your Slavic homeland. It's also St. Patrick's Day today. Do you guys do that at all? It looks like you're gonna get pinched if you don't wear green here. I only green shirt I could find, so I keep myself safe in America. But you got to be really
Uh,
careful on St. Patrick's Day, so you should be wearing
uh,
green. No,
the only day we celebrate in these days is TP Cornholio Bunho Day.
Bring me your TB! All your TB! You do not want to face the wrath of my bunghole! There must be more TB! More TB! More TB! Now! Repeat after me! I am the great Cornholio! I need TB for my bunghole!
So it's like everybody's
that's
buying all this TP stuff. So
yeah, that's pretty real. Yeah, they should call Corona cornholio. It's true because
yeah,
they.
and so people also invented the new methods of erasing TP from your life. Is
Yeah,
putting some French bidet or some
I have one.
shower.
Yeah, yeah. I was
Yeah,
laughing at
in
people. I was
fact,
like,
what
why don't you guys all have bidets yet? Oh yeah, lack of civility. Haven't really learned about Tartaria and the Moorish period of Phoenician showers. Okay, well, you'll learn.
shit.
But yeah, and the thing is, the toilet paper is going to be really useful when people need to wrap up their families as mummies. I hope that's not too soon. I'm sorry, but that's basically what toilet paper's for. So
My wife makes face mask from the toilet papers, all this medicine.
that's
So it's
practical.
like,
Yeah,
yeah, that's really practical. It looks like very funny.
what's your shirt? Where you got there?
Oh,
On
that's the only shirt I have right now that was clean. In fact, because in 2 weeks
it
I was
looks.
prepping and digging all the stuff in the forest, so my shirts got all dirty with the mud and stuff.
You
So
were digging
that's
stuff
the
in the
only shirt.
forest. What were you
Yeah, I
digging?
was prepping.
Oh yeah.
That's it. That's all you need to be a real prepper.
Legit. Well, I mean, a couple thoughts. Like, let's see. First off, there's the Christian Bear story I was thinking about earlier. So there's a Russian man, and he's running through the woods from a bear because it's springtime, and the bear's like chasing him, and he's like, oh my god, oh my god, like please Lord, like make this bear, a good Christian bear. Make him think about what you want, God. Just don't let it just go down like this. And then all of a sudden, amen. Then all of a sudden, the bear jumps down instantly on his knees and starts praying to God like a good Christian bear would and says, Lord, thank you for this Russian man, which I'm about to receive.
About the recent events, what do you have to say about? Maybe you have some to say about the last chat that we were talking about when you had this mask on, and you would say that that was a prediction was going to be happening in 6 months or something.
Oh, I wasn't trying to be like that, but at the same time, like it's pretty obvious if you're paying attention to the events, like that there was going to be an outbreak. I mean, You already got like Bill Gates was talking about this for so long that this was going to happen, right?
I
And
think we
that
were talking about something like that the mod can deactivate the biological warfare, byproducts and stuff like this in the cities that could be left by the attack or something. And you were like putting on the mask and saying like that was on topic and stuff. So it's really, yes, it's really could be happening, and why not? And so I would say that right now, I wouldn't be surprised. I would say.
yeah, I mean, like the thing is, probably what's going to happen now is CDC versus the United States Public Health Services is going to start doing their own independent testing, and they're going to start looking into what's going on, and then we'll have a better idea like what's really happening. The problem also is people don't really understand viruses. Virology is like a philosophy class, right? When you start looking into viruses, you can't tell whether they're chemical reactions or living organisms. It's still an argument, and not even that's a mainstream argument. You know, that's not even not even to do with 5G, but let's talk about the idea of expanded radiation changing generationally is also an interesting concept. There's been
Yeah. So
correlation.
you think there is any any evidence that shows that this pandemic, so-called pandemic, is created by something like 5G?
I don't
Um,
I don't really think that there's evidence that it was created by 5G. Like that's a very specific sentence. But I would say what it is more likely the information that's been correlated, and again, it hasn't been shown to be proportional in any way. It's not relative information, but it seems that every 25 years or so, we've had an outbreak since we've had expanded energy usage, and that generations adjust, and that some don't make it, and that some possibility of energy toxicity, which would cause these chemical reactions that are unfolding as what we would consider viruses, which some people say are probably just kind of robotic, like they've been mutated. They're mutated by the radio signals. It's changing the polarization. It might be the case, and that normally you can learn to adjust. You look at this is why people say radiation isn't as bad for you, but it could still be, because if you're having children and old people adjusting, and then the cells, if they're really spinning the way they think they are, they expand outwards, then this should be not a problem for a lifetime. And people live in Chernobyl. There's vodka you can buy now, atomic, from Chernobyl, right? It's made from the grains of rye grown right out of the atomic power plant region. And so there's a lot of evidence that can be healthy for you, but it might not be healthy for everybody. It might actually be dangerous. But yeah, so you should be really careful with exchanging radiation all the time. All like having yourself go through different radiations apparently might actually be bad for you. If you stay in one or you move into another, you should probably stay in that one and not go back and forth, because that can cause your cells potentially to expand and contract, and that might actually be bad for you. That might cause things that we think of as living organisms to exist that are just chemical reactions. That's a big thought right now. But
yeah.
COVID-19, you have to also look back a few months and remember that this all came out of RSLW lab in China, who were working on 19s for 2019. And there was already a COVID 2016. And at some point in 2008 and in 2003, and in 2003, COVID 03 is the one that I think went to Canada, and then Canada sent to RSLW, all with grants from Johns Hopkins Institute and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. People who their CEOs have stepped down from everything. Bill Gates is even now stepping down from Microsoft, and Holbrook, and all of the CEOs are walking away. But he's still going to be having to deal with this cleanup, because this is, everything he said would happen perhaps someday, like the movie 12 Monkeys. that a virus would be reverse engineered, and no one's taking credit yet for that. They're still trying to say that it was from, eating bat soup, but it's not. It's from laboratory work, and that work, don't hate the specialists. I don't think it's fair to blame the guys in the lab that would make they would make whatever you ask them to make, but they're being sent stuff from America, or from Canada, right? But John Hopkins University is in America, but in Canada, like they're sending them a virus and they're working on it, and then eventually it's out of a lab. I mean, it's pretty clear that's kind of an international circumstance. And so the thing also is the CDC has the capacity to close down society internationally for most countries, and people in the United States, with the HS, like health services, the public health services, which has been around since 1791, but it hasn't really been in power. Now they're putting back in the public health services to kind of do this task force. So it looks like what it also is it's a police state drill, or some sort of a coup, and some international, there's something going on between two sides. And it's more about that probably than it is about some small virus. Having said that, the virus might be more serious than anyone realizes because they're not dealing with it right now. But people that are actually dying, it's messy. It's way messier than it's like a Hollywood movie messy. It's hot.
Yeah.
It's brain melting. It's graphic, and so it's not. And they don't know what to do about people that are dying that way. So for that to happen to old people or young people, and you have to remember people that are 70 or 80, they're the new 40-year-olds. A lot of them, but they're all gonna get. They're all told that they have to stay inside right now. They're all told they're not allowed to leave their houses. So this is the first time internationally that we've had a global look at this, right? Where we've had this idea of everyone is in this together for this experiment, as Neil deGrasse Tyson called it. Will we listen to science? And I don't know if that's even. I don't even know if science knows yet what a virus is, let alone what's happening. But the next step is, what are we going to get out of coronavirus testing? Coronavirus is a lowercase letter. It's a lowercase non-proper noun. It's just like there are kinds of coronaviruses, and we're looking at this more like we need to start talking about a vaccine for the whole world. I mean, that's going to be interesting. The entire world having one vaccine, one virus to mutate with us. And I mean, that, again, if viruses are not living life and we're just changing chemical formulas, then what you're doing is you're mutating yourself and everyone else and changing the whole human species. So this is going to be, a kind of conscious evolution from this point on, where everyone is going to adapt and get system updates. And this is the first step towards transhumanism. That's kind of the biggest scare with this.
Yeah, we see like a bunch of coincidences, like London Olympic Games had all this symbolism of Corona, and it was like 2012. So like 2012 was the year that was predicted to be the end of the world. So something like this. A bunch of these rumors were going around, and the movie was also called 2012, and so it was like apocalyptic, theatrical.
Not a lot of people seem to pay attention to the Mayan calendar, and it was like the Mayan calendar said that history would end, but that the world would keep going in this weird.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a black public relations campaign by those who were, making this Hollywood movie. But whoever was making it, it was like fair and square because a lot of people believed in it. And so these Olympic Games, nobody even watched the games, I think, that year. But when it comes out to be the same type of I'd say image, because the coronavirus has some image, right? Like it's like some circle with some type of crown type of.
It looks like a kid's toy. Yeah. Like
Yeah,
a chewy dog toy. Yeah, no.
yeah, maybe like sharp teeth on this on a ball, right? Something like this, or maybe like little.
Like gooey,
Uh,
like they look like gooey little.
yeah,
They
yeah.
look like little
So
suction. Yeah.
yeah, I think all types of these coronaviruses were pictured at these London Olympics, and we they had the sharp ones and these Medusa types of stuff. So it's all connected to this Olympic message that it had, and there was an advertisement also with this viral spreading of this fire, but that fire actually looked like uh, you know fireworks, and those fireworks look like coronaviruses. So who knows? And actually, I think that there was a lab, and pretty much sure there is a lab still in Wuhan, and probably because somebody even found that it moved on the map of Google, so it was like a little bit closer to the center of Wuhan before, and after the event, it moved like a couple of miles, maybe 10 miles further from the center, from that market where all this spreading supposed to be started. So, if you remember the case of Skripal's, where so-called Russian army intelligence officers were found walking around near Skripal's house in that Salisbury, and were
Yeah.
actually blamed for this chemical attack on Skripal's and many more, who probably weren't even found.
Of course.
Maybe two people. Yeah.
Yeah, that
So
was so
that
ridiculous
was
that they set that up,
that
and then
was the
yeah, they wanted to make
that was
Russia
the
look real bad.
message, because I think Russians made this setup to blame British, because British actually had the chemical lab factory near that Salisbury, and everybody knew that Porton Down or something. It was called Porton Down Lab, something like this, and they were saying maybe it's you guys, because you have like a lab nearby. Why not? So all those spies walking around, throwing around all these chemical weapons. Who knows? Who was that? So it was like a Russian joke, and I think they were trolling British MI6. So now it's the other way. The British are trolling Chinese and throwing the virus, or the so-called biological weapon, which is looking like a virus and spreading like a virus, near the Chinese lab, because that could be just intelligence games, or maybe a
Right.
setup, maybe military campaign, which is like private military campaign, who is like implementing. And they actually had some military games in Wuhan
Hmm.
at
Yeah.
near the period of starting of this
Right.
outbreak, and that looked like to be even somebody from China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs blamed Americans. In his Twitter, he said like, guys, didn't you bring the virus with you on those military games? And so it's like, tell me who what does one of your guys was very sick and something like this, so maybe had a pneumonia or something. So I don't know. So that could be actually the official connection. And I also see this, like a Muppet Show. Who knows? Maybe somebody is controlling all this game, and we just see some players acting, and somebody's pulling the strings. Who knows? And I think it's connected to some crown society, the famous crown society, which is actually Romanov Gorgonzoller's Windsor, fake family of royalty, which is right now controlling each and every government and each and every bloodline of royal affairs. So who knows?
It seems like what happened with the military games is close to this, but there's a chaotic element to it, which is
I mean,
again the
during the
corporate.
games, you have a bunch of people sneaking around, and you
Yeah,
might have like those who are visitors and having the access passes,
but
were just arriving to Wuhan.
that's the perfect time to have this happen. So what you
Yeah,
do is you set up a corporate lab in these places simultaneously. Now their information's in triple labs at the same time. If it's in China, if it's in Africa, it's also back home in the United States or in Canada, wherever they're keeping their their science labs so they can keep doing their research outside of where it's illegal. You know, because you can't do some of the stuff in America. You can't test everything on a clinical trial on a
Legally,
vaccine.
I bet they do, but they didn't do
Well, you
legally.
can't
So
legally do it, right? So what you do is you find other people that are traveling all the time, and you take them and you have them working at Google, and they can't cook for themselves, and they go out to the market, you know, and then everything sort of happens from there. But the thing that's so weird is that it's exactly the same kind of coronavirus from the influenza that we were expecting from the TED Talk that you know, Bill Gates had set up that this would be a
yeah, yeah, and that's what
happen.
I was trying to connect to because this is obviously fake because Bill Gates has nothing to do with biological weapons, and he probably is just
It's a
paying the
slogan.
money to
It's a
someone.
slogan.
He
Yeah.
he is a nerd, but he is not a chemical expert or somebody. He is, I bet he was just set up to say some BS story that he was, trying to be nice to the public and saying, "Look, I know something that you don't know." And this is the case. We also had this Sberbank CEO German Gref, who was actually from my hometown. He was saying, like, we cannot tell the public all the truth because it cannot be controlled. And it was in front of this huge meeting, a bunch of cameras in media and live, and everybody's like, "What? Yes, if we tell them all the history, all the stuff that really is, we cannot control them. They won't be stupid anymore." And that's in front of everybody. And I think this Bill Gates stuff is also like this. I mean, he's like saying, "Yeah, I'm paying the money for some, vaccine research and something like medical pharmacy stuff, and I'm paying the money. I'm being generous, and that's it." And right now, he understood. I'm fucking set up for this stuff, and I all bunch of negative information, reputation, risks to the Microsoft so much that they pulled him out of this story and saying, "Look, he's out of Microsoft. He's no, we are not connected anymore. He left." I won't say. I think this is negative reputation management, negative information,
Definitely, because he's out.
cancellation.
He wasn't in Wuhan while it was happening. He wasn't in Canada while the money was transferring. He wasn't even at Event 203 supposedly, although he was. You know about 201, Event 201, Event 201, which is like if you see the flyer for it, it's Event 2 with a globe and then 1. And since there's no globe, it's 21, Event 21. So it's like the Agenda 21 event, and they've set
Yep.
up this whole, simulation software which showed that this virus, COVID-19, could kill, 65 million people if set up just right.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
everything from there has been exactly how that's gone down. And they've tried to explain on their website, we just ran a test and we were worried, and we were the only ones, thank God we ran that test. But
Yeah.
you have
Follow
to
the
wonder.
money. We have to understand when exactly that was started. The media campaign started exactly at the same time when Chinese came to Washington and signed this first trade deal agreement, first part, where all this, there was a deputy president of China, and he arrived to Trump's office and signed the deal, and he didn't look very funny. He didn't look very funny, and
No.
he didn't look like he was like winning something. And he actually, I reviewed that the protocols that they signed, and there's like only five that U.S. shall do, and the rest is just China shall do, like 100 of China shall do, and like 80 or something like we shall do, and only five of what US shall do. So it's like a one-way ticket. So they signed an agreement that's totally not in their favor, and that was just 15th of January. Nobody was even starting the campaign yet, and then as soon as he signed it, the campaign starts, and like this is what actually killed the stock markets and the campaign
Yeah.
when the people started to be like a sheeple, like a fast and non-thinking sheeple, huge sheeple.
Toilet paper. Well, but look at what everything else has happened in the last 2 or 3 years. I mean, the economy has shifted towards anticipation of something like this. The president said today he plans on giving Americans a universal basic income. By the end of the day, they should have this plan figured out. They've slashed IRS. They're taking out taxes. People aren't going to be having to pay taxes, right? You know, they're going to do
Do you
payroll
know the
tax.
thing, the backup thing for this? You know, how do you call it? Basic income. How did you
Universal
say?
basic income, UBI.
Yeah, this is
Yang
like
Gang. Yeah.
yes, this is
Andrew Yang.
guaranteed income, right?
Totally.
For a person.
Like Soviet Union.
No, 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 not
Well,
like
a
Soviet.
little bit. It's a little bit
Soviet
like
Union, it was
the
paid
cartridge.
by the government, but the government wasn't like, um, paying attention for what he was doing. And this is like public relations right now. He's saying, we are going to make this, we achieved this, right? He's saying like,
In in
we.
1917, you know, like in
Nobody,
that whole,
nobody did this before. I'm doing this right now. Look what
yeah,
I'm doing. We're reaching so high. We
it's
can't
like
come back
Lenin.
later.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
it's
Lenin.
like we are gonna give you this favor, and you have this privilege to witness how we do it. So it's like what? And Soviet was like very shy and modest in all this promotions. And this is
Right.
right now it's like a Bernie Sanders campaign. Uh, we're socialists. Look, we're gonna do. And the people who are like promoting this basic income, I actually don't even know what does it mean.
Right.
It's
Well, I mean, they don't know because it hasn't been planned until this morning, and it's not finished until tonight. So that's a one day to come up with universal basic income. That's a pretty short period of time for them to have this plan, right? So it sounds to me more like this plan's been around for a while, and they're just now having an excuse to lay it out, and they're like, boom, now
oh,
you got to do
do
it.
you actually know what it is? Can you
Well,
tell me?
the way they want to do it is 12,000 a year, 1,000 a month, and I think they want to
No,
actually
what it
divide it
is
into
actually.
different.
No, no, what it is actually. What does it actually do to a person?
Oh, like what the plan will be, or what will happen if you just
No,
have
no,
a
no,
thousand
no.
dollars.
What is this thing doing to a person?
Oh, they
It's a
want to give it.
bribe.
They
It's
want
a
to bribe.
bribe.
Yeah,
It's a
because people
bribe
are
to a
not able to
person
work
for
right now.
not working at all.
Well, people
You
right
want to
now
be
can't
work?
work. They told them that they
No,
can't work. Yeah,
they
and they
won't.
can't leave
They
their
won't
house.
even try. They won't even try.
Right. Right.
If you
Yeah.
take this stuff, you won't even try to find yourself any additional work.